County Judge.
Here.
Roy Charles Brooks, Commissioner Precinct 1.
Present.
Devin Allen, Commissioner Precinct 2.
Here.
Gary Fickus, Commissioner Precinct 3. J.D. Johnson, Commissioner Precinct 4. Constitutes a quorum.
Thank you. Our invocation today will be delivered by Pastor Gail Crawls from Grace for Eternity Church, Haltom City. Thank you so much for coming out today for the invocation. Please come on down. After the invocation, please remain standing for our pledges. Welcome.
Good morning.
Good morning. Father, I just thank you, Lord. I thank you for the leadership that you've placed above us, Lord. I thank you, Father, for the godly men and women here that represent you. I speak peace over them, over every decision that they make today, Lord. May we all realize that we're called to be an example, to be a godly example to those who look up to us. And may our every thought today be regarding those who have less than we do, the homeless, the poor, the widows, Father. May we realize, Lord, that you've called us not to increase what we have, but to help those who have less. And Lord, in this court, I speak peace, divine peace, and wisdom over everyone who speaks today, Lord. Divine wisdom, understanding that you give them the words, that you give them the wisdom, that you give them the knowledge, Father, and that you've placed among us people who make the decisions. And when the decision is made, Lord God, we stand in agreement with them, and we undergird them, and we support them. And I thank you for unity, Lord, in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible. Thank you, Pastor, for coming out today. Manius, agenda announcements.
Thank you, Honor. Members of the Court, we have one announcement today relating to the agenda. That's under purchasing, item 9H1. This is bid number 2019-104. We're going to hold that. We'll be bringing that back to you within the next week or two. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you. Court members, you have before you the minutes of our regular meeting of May the 21st.
Move approval.
Second.
A motion second. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously. Proclamations. Commissioner Allen.
Yes. Well, I am honored to have a pretty significant community leader who's joined us here today, Principal Fernando Benavides from Sam Houston High School in Arlington. And he is leaving Sam after, I think, serving 7 years as principal. But thankfully, he's staying in the area, and he will be working for Mansfield ISD. But I wanted to recognize some of the work that he's done over the years by presenting this resolution. I'm going to read some remarks, actually, of a video that he and his wife were in. And I think that she's on her way. She's a principal at Bailey Junior High. But I thought the words that she shared in this video really summed up the work that Mr. Benavides has done, and in particular the work that I've seen him do and the work that I've had the honor of doing with him. So, and to quote her, she says, "There are so many things that make Fernando a wonderful principal. I would say probably my favorite thing is his willingness to fight for things no matter how difficult the barriers are to get through. He's not afraid to push the envelope. He's not afraid to stand up for things people don't normally stand up for. He has a strong sense of justice in the fact that he knows that in order to do right by kids, Sometimes you have to do things that are unpopular or controversial, or just different than what the norm might think. The other is the love he has for kids. This man, from the moment he wakes up in the morning to the moment he goes to bed, and sometimes in the middle of the night, he lives and breathes Sam Houston High School. And she goes on to say that he is the heartbeat of the campus. Whereas Whereas Fernando Benavides obtained his BA from the University of Texas Pan American in 1994 and received his Master's of Education from the University of North Texas in 2006. And whereas Mr. Benavides began his public school service as a teacher at Mercedes ISD and then in Mansfield ISD as a teacher of Texas history, world geography, U.S. government, AP U.S. government, and macroeconomics. And whereas his dedication to seeing students succeed include him leading teen leadership and community service programs. And whereas he was appointed to the College Board AP Government Test Development Committee and served for 2 years as a consultant before becoming an assistant principal in Venus ISD and then at Sam Houston High School and then becoming the principal of Arlington ISD's Bowles Junior High School. And whereas Mr. Benavides has served as principal of Arlington ISD Sam Houston High School for over 7 years and received the AISD Secondary Principal of the Year Award. And whereas prior to his career in education, Mr. Benavides served as a U.S. Marine and was awarded the National Defense Service Medal, Navy Achievement Medal, and the Kuwaiti Liberation Medal as a member of the 7th Marines in Desert Storm. And whereas Mr. Benavides has a passion for serving students, his community, and his country, and he moves from Arlington ISD and returns to Mansfield ISD, and as he returns, he leaves an indelible stamp of commitment to excellence that will carry on. Now, therefore, be it resolved that we, the Commissioners Court of Tarrant County, do hereby wish to express our admiration and appreciation of Principal Fernando Benavides for his commitment to seeing that students have access to a quality education and have every opportunity to become their very best. In witness whereof, we have hereunto set our hands and caused the seal of Tarrant County to be affixed this 28th day, May 2019. With that, I move for approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
Did you really?
Welcome, sir.
Thank you, Judge Whitley, Commissioner Allen, Commissioner Brooks. Thank you for this recognition. I'm just humbled and honored to be here today and to receive this recognition. You know, as educators, we do it because we love kids, and again, so thank you. That's really all. I appreciate you so much, and I look forward to working with you in the future in a different role as we serve the students in Mansfield ISD. Thank you so much.
Congratulations.
Commissioner Allen.
Thank you. So unfortunately, due to a series of somewhat unfortunate things, we were not able to get the Mansfield Timberview High School Wolves basketball team here. I will be presenting a resolution later today at the Mansfield ISD School Board meeting, but I wanted to read this in the record, especially for these students who have worked so hard and were the 5A state champs in basketball. Whereas Mansfield ISD's 2018 Timberview Wolves basketball team has developed a commitment to excellence that produces championships, and they demonstrated their commitment with a 38-2 overall record this season and a 19-game winning streak that ended with them taking the state title. And whereas the Wolves accomplished one of the school's and district's proudest moments when on March 9th, they defeated San Antonio Wagner 77-64 at the San Antonio Alamodome, claiming the school's second University Interscholastic League, or UIL, 5A State Boys Basketball Championship in just 3 seasons. And whereas the 2018 Timberview High School Boys Basketball Team players are C.J. Smith, Tazarian White, Rodrigo Suarez, Marquise Child, Samir Dahl, Braden Jordan, Devontae McKinney, Jacob Owens, Ahmad Richardson, Dwaylon Russell, Stacy Sneed, Tristan Starks, Rom Stevenson, Cameron Taylor, and Jared Washington. And whereas Smith, who was named Most Valuable Player, and teammates White and Suarez were all three named members of the 5A All-Tournament team. And whereas the team was expertly led by the coaching staff of head coach Dwayne Gregory and assistant coaches Keith Howell, Byron McCollum, and Matthew Workman. And whereas the road to success comes through determination, personal sacrifice, hours of practice, and hard work, and this team of fine athletes has proven they are committed to doing what it takes to succeed. Now, therefore, be it resolved that we, the Commissioners Court of Tarrant County, do hereby congratulate the 2018 Timberview High School Wolves basketball team for winning the 2019 UIL 5A Boys Basketball State Championship and look forward to witnessing all they have to accomplish in the future. In witness whereof we have hereunto set our hands and caused the seal of Tarrant County to be affixed this 28th day of May, 2019, and with that I move for approval and congratulations.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Please vote. Motion passes unanimously. When I was growing up, my dad would always go to the state playoffs every year, and when I got old enough, I went along with him, and at that time, they were all at the Gregory Gym at the University of Texas, and you waited in line outside. They'd throw open the gates for a particular session. There were no reserve seats, so you just run in and, lay down and wait for the other members of your group to get there to hopefully before somebody shoved you out of the way. So I have fond memories of the state playoffs in basketball, and even though they've now moved it from Gregory Gym to other places, and this one apparently was obviously in San Antonio, it still brings back fond memories, and I'm sure that that's something those boys will remember forever.
Pretty cool. It's a big deal.
It is pretty cool. Court members, you have before you the consent agenda.
Move for approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously. We have a public hearing today. Welcome.
Welcome. Good morning. My name is Wayne Pollard. I'm the Director of Tarrant County Housing Assistance Office. Tarrant County Housing Assistance Office served nearly 3,000 families on the Housing Choice Voucher Program known as Section 8. We have over 845 private landlords. We continue to market in high opportunity areas so we can find better homes for our families. We currently have over 13,000 families on our Section 8 wait list. We have a preference on our wait list for elderly, disabled, homeless veterans, families involved with Child Protective Services. For the 10th straight year, we are high performers through HUD. This year we had an audit from last year, 2018 audit. We had 4 observations from the Tarrant County Auditor's Office that was presented to the court, and there was minor findings. We're planning to project base up to 250 vouchers so we can target helping homeless, disabled families. In 2018, HUD mandated 24 housing authorities in the area to implement small areas fair market rents. Basically, in the past, we had payment standards where it was countywide for each bedroom. Now it's based on zip codes. The reason why HUD want us to do this is because he feels that families can do better in higher opportunity areas. This has increased our cost for families moving out to higher opportunity areas. Our rental market is great. We generally cost was about $1.7 million monthly. Now it increased to $1.9 million monthly. Due to this increase of HAP, we have to basically slow down the number of families we're bringing onto the program. Right now, we're only issuing vouchers to our homeless veterans and disabled families on our mainstream program. At this time, we are not seeking any court action. We just like to open for comments.
At this time, I'll open the public hearing and ask if there's anyone here wishing to speak for or against this or comments on this situation. There being none, then we'll close the public hearing and wait till
We'll have further action
I have a
in the
question,
future.
please.
Commissioner.
Wayne, you said that you plan to target 250 vouchers to a project-based situation. Is this 250 of the existing vouchers, or will there be additional vouchers that you can?
Existing vouchers, if funding permits, up to 250 if funding permits.
So this will further restrict the pool of vouchers available to the public.
Correct.
Why would you want to do that?
Basically, the biggest is look at vulnerability. A lot of our disabled, homeless persons are more vulnerable than some of other families. So we try to target ones that we feel is more vulnerable. And also from a cost perspective, it's much easier to serve a 1-bedroom unit versus a 3 and 4 bedroom units. So we can serve more families in the long run. But again, this is just a projection, 250, if the funding present itself. But right now, our fundings are tight for 2019. We're slowing down our lease up, so we're basically looking at about 250 we may give out in the future, up to 250.
Well, I understand that there is a gap in our ability to fund the existing vouchers. So I'm concerned that we would further restrict our ability to serve the public by targeting vouchers to a certain project.
Yes. Right now, most of the funding that HUD basically give us this year are targeted vouchers for special programs like homeless veterans and homeless families that's disabled. That's where the direction HUD has given us with the funding as well. But I understand you, Commissioner.
Part of my frustration in all of this is that HUD doesn't seem to recognize that there are homeless people outside of the veterans community that need to be served as well. And we've got to figure out a way to do that at the local level, since help isn't going to come from HUD. So I would appreciate us getting into some community discussions about how we close this shortfall in funding the existing vouchers, how we deal with the 13,000 people on our waiting list for housing vouchers, and how we deal with the housing shortage in our communities. Thank you, Wayne.
Yes, sir.
Commissioner, I'll tell you that that continuum of care is continuing to kind of look at this and put this together, and I think your comments are well taken and something that we need to look at as we approach this coming year. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Manius.
Thank you, Your Honor. Members of the Court, we have one additional item. This is number 1 under the Administrator's section. We're requesting that the court adopt revised regulations to promote safety by further regulating target practice, as well as hunting with firearms in lots that are 10 acres or smaller and located in the unincorporated area of Tarrant County in the Pyramid Acres subdivision in accordance with the Texas Local Government Code.
This is a matter of public safety in the unincorporated areas, especially in Pyramid Acres, where we've got people on small lots who want to set up ranges for target practice on their small lots. Their neighbors are concerned. We should be concerned, and I move approval of this action.
Second. Taking notes.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you.
Ms. Tidwell. There's only 3 of us up here.
I have one item that I'm asking the court to consider this morning, and that is to receive and file the auditor's report of the review of the county procurement card transactions. You have the report and the response attached.
Move for approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
Move to receive and file the personnel agenda.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to receive and file the personnel agenda. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously. Good morning, Ms. Clance.
Good morning. Thank you, Commissioner Brooks. We have one additional item this morning. We're asking the court to approve our latest version of the administrative leave policy. As the court may recall, we've had some discussions. I think we've been here 2, maybe 3 times. Since we met last, we have had some additional communications with the Sheriff's Department, also with the County Administrator's Office. So what you have before you is the latest version, I believe, of the Sheriff's Office attempt to try to tighten the language around those situations, incidents that would be where we would permit, where the sheriff would grant the use of administrative leave. So if you will take a look at the policy that we've provided for you today, or the version, just very quickly, items 1 through 4 are exactly the same as they were last time. These were the situations that HR had identified that historically have caused the use of administrative leave. Item 5, you may recall, was sort of where there was a hiccup. The last version from the Sheriff's Office, there was still language that allowed the sheriff to use or to grant administrative leave when he believed it was in his best interest. Again, there was some discussion about that. So what you see before you today, what's changed, is the language in item 5, or number 5, and it reads, traumatic incidents for the purpose of this section includes shootings, accidents, or any other incident that results in serious bodily injury or death to any person. And so I believe that was the sheriff's attempt to try to be responsive to your request. One additional thing that I will say is that also, in addition to that language, if you read the next paragraph of the policy for number 5 specifically, even when that time would be granted, if that time would be granted, the time would be limited to 3 work days. So again, I believe that is the sheriff's effort to address your concerns.
I want to commend the Sheriff's Department and HR for working together to come up with language that meets the needs of this court to provide some oversight on how this policy is used. County government works best when we can work out a solution rather than having anyone try to impose a solution, though we're not opposed to doing that if we had to. I'm glad we didn't have to in this particular instance, and I will move approval.
Second, but I do have a comment. So with the part that was worked out with the sheriff's office, just want to clarify that when it references serious bodily injury or death to any person, that could be any person. That's not necessarily something that occurs while the person is performing their duties, right? So this could mean outside of.
I think it could. We could certainly tighten the language, Commissioner, if we want to make that or if we want to restrict, again, the use to just job-related deaths.
I believe that was the intent.
Okay. Well, that's not how it reads, though.
Mm-hmm.
So.
And we could certainly tighten that language to make that crystal clear.
I think that's a good catch.
Well, and then also I wanted to add, and I'm sure everyone who works for the county knows this, but could you speak to what services are provided through EAP should someone need them?
Yes. So the county does provide employee assistance program. The county has paid for, 15 years, maybe longer, for this benefit on behalf of all full-time employees. So employees don't pay for at least not the initial sessions. So the way that the Employee Assistance Program works is that it is confidential, and so every full-time employee has the ability to seek assistance through the Employee Assistance Program, again at no cost for the initial sessions. It's either 3 or 5 because it's changed. For those initial visits, the employee can schedule a confidential appointment with a counselor to talk through whatever issues might be of concern to the employee at that point in time. If additional sessions are needed, There is a cost to the employee. The employee, if they're covered on one of the county's plans, would pay the appropriate deductible or co-payment for visits beyond the first 3 to 5. And she's shaking her head. We don't remember. We don't work with this every day, but it's either 3 or 5. First 3 or 5 visits are provided at no cost to the employee. Again, the county is paying for this benefit on a monthly basis for all full-time employees. So, and the sheriff is aware of that benefit, Commissioner. He and I spoke about that.
And then can you also speak to the accrual of sick and personal time relief and then also vacation time?
Sure. So, again, full-time employees receive benefits. Sick personal is why we call it a bucket of leave. So for all of us who accrue that time, it's 1 day per month. And so at the end of a year, a full-time employee, will have accrued 12 days. Vacation is a separate pool or bucket of benefits, accrual of benefits. And the accrual ranges from between 2 weeks to 5 weeks. And that's tied to an employee's years of service. And so the longer you serve, the greater the accruals are. Something else that the court did, it's been several years ago, we actually lifted the cap on accruals. And so, and I'm talking specifically about sick and personal accruals and vacation accruals. So employees can accrue time year over year. And that was done specifically to help in situations where an employee or an employee's family member might be facing a catastrophic situation and require, a substantial amount of time away from work. And so those accruals happen, again, year over year. Some of us who've been here for a very long time have pretty large accruals. And it's important to say that when an employee leaves county service, though, the payoff, we do have limits on what you can be paid for your accruals. So it's not, your payment is not based upon what's there, but it's based upon what's outlined in policy. And again, that's in addition to holidays, right? So we all just had a holiday yesterday, or many of us did. And so those leave accruals are in addition to holiday. And we receive 12 holidays per year. And those are paid.
So, quick question. Do I need to withdraw my second? Because I'm seconding based off of this.
So it's one of the things that your concern is that it's not specific as relates to job-related activity.
Right.
Okay, so what I would suggest is that we not take any formal action today.
Okay.
Let's go back and we'll just tweak it slightly and bring it back next Tuesday if that's okay with the court.
I withdraw my motion.
I think that's a good idea, but I, like Commissioner Brooks, want to thank the Sheriff's Office for the work that they did to get to this point, because I think we're a whole lot closer to this, and it was a good catch, Commissioner Allen. I think we did intend for that to be job-related on that situation, and so just to be specific and not to have to find ourselves up here adjusting it again, let's go ahead and
we'll bring it back next
Tuesday. Next Tuesday, and we can go on it from there. But
Thank
again,
you.
Sheriff's Department, thank you very much for the work y'all put into that.
And thank you, Tina.
Mr. Beecham. We both made it. I don't know how long we'll be there, but.
Well, Central Connecticut, Cal, and TCU are coming to God's country, but I kind of need to explain where that is. I've always considered Arkansas to be God's.
Baton Rouge, isn't it?
Well, no, well, maybe. But our new, a couple of years ago, our new cooperative purchasing coordinator, Denise Anderson, I was going to head up there for a ball game, and she said, I'm going to God's country. She said, Israel? I said, no. Close, but
the hilly country.
The hilly country.
The hillbilly country might be a better way of putting it.
We have 3 items now for your consideration. Our first item is an item in regards to RFO 2019-075, This is an annual miscellaneous concrete improvement contract from the City of Haltom City, interlocal contract B 2019-311-001. We're asking the court to accept the payment bonds from Reliable Paving, the amount of $27,632.
Move for approval.
Second.
Got a motion, a second, any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
Item number 3 is an item in regards to RFQ 2016-038. This request for qualifications for the coordinator for no refusal weekend alcohol and drug testing for the Criminal District Attorney's Office. On May the 2nd, 2019, they received notification, as well as we did, that this company is being dissolved effective July 7. We're asking the court to cancel the previous award and allow us to rebid with revised specifications. So we'll be ready to have a new contract in place prior to 4th of July weekend.
Move approval.
Second.
We have a motion, a second, any discussion?
Yes.
Please vote. Whoop.
I have a question. What happened with the company?
They are. This has been an award for several years. She notified us that they are dissolving the company entirely. She would no longer be in charge, and I think they're trying to reform, as I understand, to be able to have us have a contract in place when we rebid that.
I'm good. Thank you.
Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
Last item in regards to bid 2019-139. This is an annual contract for oil and lubricants. We are recommending rejection of the 7 proposals that we received and seeking to rebid with revised specifications. 3 of them had addendum problems, and during the evaluation it became pretty obvious that we need to clarify and simplify some of the specifications.
Move for approval.
Second.
We have a motion, a second, any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any appointments today?
Yes, sir. I've got several.
These are all of the Historical Commission?
Some of them are Historical Commission, yes, sir.
Okay.
Reappointment to 2-year terms on the Historical Commission: Cindy Wilson Eric, Joe Pirtle, Billy Joe Gabriel, Kalita Strickland, Natalie Johnson, and Sarah Walker. Appointment to a new 2-year term: Renee Gomez, replacing Andrew Sanders.
And if I can just hop on that train, the historical train, I'd like to appoint Robert Johnson to a 2-year term, 2019 to 2021.
Move approval of all of the above.
Second. We have a motion, a second, any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
In addition, reappointments to the Human Services Advisory Committee. These are 2-year appointments for 2019 through 2021. Sophie Trin, Mike Doyle, Vicky Mize, Connie Nees-Wadamy, and Jacqueline Flint.
I'll second those. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously. Any other appointments? Court members, you have before you the claims, including the addendum.
Move approval of the claim including the addendum.
Second.
We have a motion, a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously. Briefing items, Mr. Manius.
Thank you, Your Honor. Members of the court, we have one item. As you know, the legislature had signed, died yesterday. Mr. Schaffner is here. He's an employee of Tarrant County. Y'all probably haven't seen him in a while.
Welcome back, Russell.
He's here to address the court.
One of God's little blessings.
Congratulations on your first sine die.
Well, thank you. I really appreciate that, Commissioner. Judge,
and for
Commissioners.
Getting out alive.
Yeah, it's about right. And I wanted to report on the number one failure that I consider of this session, which was our inability to get the Tarrant County purchasing agent deleted from statute. Jack lives to fight another day. No, in all seriousness, Judge, Commissioners, thank you for the opportunity to go and represent the Commissioners Court in Tarrant County at the legislature. I think it really was a county-wide effort from not only you and Judge and the Commissioners and y'all's willingness to make phone calls, come down and testify, have some strongly worded conversations with folks on various legislation, but also the incredible other elected officials within the county and county staff, from the administrator's office to Helen, who at one point during the session she said, Russell, I get anxious when your name pops up on my phone. So one of those times.
It'll only get worse.
That's a good point. But we really did have, I think Tarrant County had a fantastic session. SB2 did pass at 3.5%. So that's what's now called, it used to be called the rollback rate. They changed the name to the voter approval rate of 3.5%. So anything above 3.5% is for cities and counties, hospital districts, community college districts, and certain smaller political subdivisions are not under the 3.5%. They're under an 8% cap. So
is that an automatic election
at 8%? Yes. Just like ours is at 3.5%, or will be starting in 2020. Now, SB2 does not go into effect until January 1 of 2020. So we have this budget cycle to work through, and then we will begin SB2 compliance the following year, or the following budget cycle, which it'll be an interesting process of changing. The bill is over 141 pages, and then the day 139 of the session, they added 16 more pages to it. It's amazing how you can do different processes within the legislature, but I believe Tarrant County, and we will, it'll be a challenge, but we will be able to conform to those, what's necessary within that bill as we go through that process. Just as a real quick item, though, regarding the changes of names of SB2, when it was filed, when the House and the Senate both filed companion bills, the name of the bill was the Texas Property Tax Reform and Relief Act of 2019. The House passed version was the Texas Taxpayer Transparency Act of 2019. And the final version was the Texas Property Tax Reform and Transparency Act of 2019.
Wonderful.
So we will come up with fun acronyms for that and ways to say it as appropriate. A couple of the items that Tarrant County supported as part of y'all's legislative packet, they did not pass. The most substantial one that would have actually offered Tarrant County taxpayers meaningful tax relief, which would mean that their tax bill from last year to the current year would have been less. And this would have been the dollar value homestead exemption for the Commissioners Court to offer a dollar value homestead exemption. That was heard in the Senate Property Tax Committee. It was a bill by Senator West, and it was left pending, and it never moved. We tried to stake it on other areas, but it never moved. The legislature wasn't interested in that particular proposal this session, but hopefully we'll come back next session and have more success with that issue. County's got $250 million over the biennium as part of an oil and gas grant program for transportation. So for counties that are affected by oil and gas on our roadways, there's now $250 million that went into that grant program that was similar to the one from 2 sessions ago, I believe it was. So Tarrant County will be receiving some money from that program. One of the other issues that county spent an incredible amount of time on this session was on elections. And our elections administrator, Hyder Garcia, and I had many long heart-to-heart conversations about what that means or what this bill would do. So SB 9 got a great deal of attention because of some of the implications of criminalization of certain aspects of voting. For counties, our biggest concern with SB 9 was the fact that it would be a $400 million statewide property tax increase in order for counties to become compliant with that bill. Luckily, it died in calendars 2 weeks before the end of the session, but that didn't stop other opportunities of trying to stick that particular provision on. But there is not the provision that mandates counties have certain types of election equipment did not make it onto any bill this session.
Well, and then also as a part of SB 9 was you spoke of the criminalization, and so can you speak to if you have a poll worker who unknowingly makes a mistake, what were some of the possible consequences of that?
So my understanding of legislation, that's not the area that I was particularly focusing on as working through it, but if certain mistakes were made throughout the process, there would be, they could be charged with misdemeanors.
Yeah. And some of the consequences would even be a felony.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
So based on...
Which obviously voter integrity and making sure that the process is done correctly is hugely important.
Correct.
But I don't know that people,
In the bill garnered a lot of attention whenever it got over to the House. I believe they had almost 200 witnesses one evening. It rivaled SB 2 whenever they heard it, but it was a very, very long debate.
Yes, I watched a handful of hours of it, so yeah, you were saying.
But those issues, the extension of the records archive fee was approved, SB 658. The extension of the Property Redevelopment and Tax Abatement Act, that was approved. It did have a couple additional elements onto it, but that was HB 3143. And so all in all, we had an excellent session. We got a number of our priorities passed, and I think Tarrant County should be very proud of the work that we all did as a Tarrant County family in the legislature. And we had excellent state representatives and senators that we could go to and really work with Chairman Guerin, Chairman Turner, Chairwoman Collier, Chairwoman Click, Representative Goldman, and others did just an outstanding job representing Tarrant County. And I think that very appropriate that they receive a shout out for all the great work that they did. So I'm happy to take any questions. I won't belabor this anymore.
Governor spoke about that in the beginning, but what happened to the unfunded mandate bills?
They never made it out of committee. Actually, they were never heard in committee. HJR 30 by Murphy and SJR 10, I believe, by Buckingham. In the Senate, neither of them ever were set for a committee hearing. So there was.
While it was one of the priorities, I mean, we got the revenue caps, but we did not get any relief on unfunded mandates.
Correct.
In fact, they actually passed additional unfunded mandates.
The Texas legislature has never seen an unfunded mandate on local governments they don't like. So yes, we got a number of them this session. So we'll be working to calculate and figure out the impacts and what options are out there to mediate some of those impacts.
Any other questions of Russell at this time?
One other quick item, bail bond reform. No bail bond reform bill passed this session. Okay. Which, given some of the provisions that were in those bills, that's probably best.
Well, not a question, but a comment. You did a great job. So I
Thank you,
received similar sentiment from members and also from staff, and so thank you for all your hard work.
Thank you, Commissioner. I appreciate that. So,
thank you.
Right, thank you.
Some of us have to live with this guy for.
We've still got some transportation issues pending, Russell. Glad to have you back on your day job.
Well, and I do think it's gonna take us a few weeks to figure out exactly what some of the legislation that passed was gonna mean. I know we've got some, we need to do the calculation and see what impact the 3.5% might have on us. I know that it's a year, as Russell mentioned, it's a year before it is implemented, but as I mentioned before, I think we may very well want to early implement and not wait a year. I think there'll be a lot of folks who will say, well, golly, they're going to spend all the money this year, and we've always been very conservative, and I would like for us to consider early implementation of that. And I think we just have to look at several of what unfunded mandates we do have coming out, and kind of go from there and just see where we lie. But I would like for hopefully audit, budget,
tax to try to take the 146 pages and figure out what impact that would have on Tarrant County if we were putting it into effect this year. And then in effect, we might actually put that into effect this year and see what happens.
I'm reluctant to give the legislature any credit for relief on unfunded mandates. But it seems to me that the provision that does not include indigent defense costs in the tax cap calculation may give us some relief on one of the biggest unfunded mandates that we have.
That's a good point, and I agree with that. And again, until we've actually gotten into, because there were amendments added in the conference reports, there were things that were stripped out. Mm-hmm. So until we actually see the final bills, and I think the governor has to sign those by Father's Day, the 16th. So he was vetoing bills as late as yesterday. And so I think we just need to watch and see what actually comes out and then what effect it has.
Your Honor, I believe we have some audience participation forms.
You bet. I believe we have 3 folks that are wanting to speak today. We have several others who are here in opposition of 287G. The first speaker that I'll call forward is Iris Garcia. When you come forward, please state your name and give us your address, and then we'll look forward to your comments.
Hello, good morning. My name is Iris Garcia, and I live in Arlington. My zip code is 76010. I'm also a community organizer with Planned Parenthood Texas Votes, and I'm here in opposition of 287G. I'm representing the ICE out of Tarrant County campaign. We oppose 287G because we believe it negatively affects our communities. This matter is important to me because I live in Arlington and I love Arlington. We are a very diverse city. Our city's legal documents are all available in English, Spanish, and Vietnamese because our city understands that we have a diverse population that we need to serve. According to the Census Bureau's ACS estimate in 2017, Arlington's population was about 20.6 foreign-born, and the ACS 2017 estimate also stated that our city's population was about 86% U.S. Citizens. So that leaves about 14% that are not citizens. And we need to protect the people that make up our communities. These people contribute to our city, our county, our state, and our country, and they don't deserve to live in fear. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you. Thank you. Mm-hmm. Please understand that because this was not on the agenda, we can't address any of your concerns or your questions at this time. So that's the reason. It's not that we're not interested, it's just that we cannot respond to an item not on our agenda. Okay. Thank you very much for being here today. Next is Astrid Fuentes. I know I'm getting that wrong. Fuentes. Again, correctly pronounce your name and the address.
Of course. Good morning. My name is Astrid Fuentes. I'm here on behalf of Planned Parenthood of Greater Texas, and my address is the 6464 John Ryan Drive here in Fort Worth. And well, this morning, on behalf of Planned Parenthood of Greater Texas, we just wanted to express our sentiments regarding 287G. So as one of the nation's leading healthcare providers, Planned Parenthood is proud to see patients regardless of their immigration status. And with that being said, we strongly disagree with harmful, unfair policies like 287G. We see firsthand the ways in which harsh immigration enforcement policies restrict families' access to health care in this country. No one's health should be compromised because of their immigration status or their income. This initiative, 287G, contributes to immigrants' already very real fear of deportation and family separations, and continues to drive more and more people into shadows at the expense of their health and their well-being, and making it harder to live a full life. Planned Parenthood will not silently stand by as immigrants, many of whom are part of the Planned Parenthood community, and rely on Planned Parenthood for health care. They face increasing barriers to health care and their access, and face the potential of being ripped apart from their families. We are committed to providing them care no matter what, and we hope that when this initiative does come up for vote, we hope that you'll consider these comments and the needs of your community and vote against 287G. Thank you.
Thank you very much for coming out.
Thank you, Astrid.
Next is, I believe, Joanna Cardoza.
Good morning, Judge. My name is Joanna Cardoza. I live in Arlington in Precinct 2. I am here on behalf of District 21 LULAC, which includes all of Tarrant County. I am the Deputy District Director for Women. When you hear the sheriff and his staff speak about my undocumented brothers and sisters that are detained in the Tarrant County Jail, the first word that comes out of their mouth is MS-13 to describe them. The same word that Donald Trump uses to describe asylum seekers, that they are criminals, they are MS-13. This election cycle in the city of Arlington, we had a racist candidate that used to work under Chief Wayburn in the county jail and as a 911 operator run for the office of mayor. Her campaign material included these statements. During that time, I deported illegal immigrants out of our community. I personally processed illegal immigrants to ICE. And she also hosted Sheriff Arpaio in the city of Arlington, who was convicted of racial profiling in his own county in Arizona. I take offense to the sheriff and his staff using this kind of rhetoric. As the daughter of a mother that came to this country as an undocumented person for a better life, she is now a U.S. citizen and a productive member of society. And as the wife of a loving husband who leads the music program every Sunday at church and whom also came to this country for a better life. Racism and hatred are like a nasty plague that continues to spread until a community comes together and takes collective action to stop it. As I tried to explain, the national rhetoric and implementation of policies that racially profile our community are spilling into our own community here in Tarrant County. And at the county and city level, and I ask that when it comes time to vote on 287G, that you vote for our local community and make a statement that you will not allow racial profiling and hatred in our own county. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next is Luis Castillo.
And thank you for the LULAC resolution.
I think that's what he's fixing to deliver.
Oh, okay.
Good morning, Honorable Commissioners. My name is Luis Castillo. I live in Arlington, Precinct 2, and I'm the president of Arlington LULAC Council 22320, and I'm here to speak on behalf of Felix Alvarado, the District 21 Director for LULAC. District 21 encompasses Tarrant County and 4 adjacent counties. On April 27th of this year, District 21 had its annual convention here in Fort Worth, and we passed a resolution, which I believe you all have a copy. I'm not going to recite the whole resolution. I'll spare you. It's a 2-page resolution, but I want to hit some keynotes that as a matter of policy, LULAC does not support illegal immigration. I want to make that clear. We don't support. As a matter of fact, we don't support nothing that's illegal, and I don't think nobody in this room does. And for those who break the law, we do have a criminal justice system in place. There is nothing in the Texas Constitution that mandates the Sheriff's Department to engage in collaboration with ICE. This is totally discretionary. And as long as local governments like Tarrant County participate on 287G programs, the federal government will not fix a broken system. And we need to fix our immigration system. But if local governments further enhance that layback approach to the federal government fixing the system, they're not going to do it. It'll persist, and it's been persistent for many years. And we need to fix it. I think that's the root of the problem. And this 287G collaboration with ICE, it just makes things worse. It separates families. It promotes hate in the community. And we feel that public officials who support 287G are enablers of separation of families and promoters of hate. And I would think that you'll find it in your heart next month not to renew the memorandum of agreement with ICE. I think that we need to focus our resources on more pressing issues. If undocumented immigrants violate the law, we do have a criminal justice system in place that will take care of it. I'd just like to say that we appreciate your service, and we hope that you will not renew the memorandum of agreement with ICE. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for being here. We also have Eddie Lou Mayfield, who is opposed to the 287G but did not wish to speak. Charles Hines, opposed to the 287G contract, did not wish to speak. And Elva Mosher, opposed to the 287G program, not wishing to speak. Mr. Mandates, I know we have a briefing item now scheduled, I believe, for June the 11th.
That's correct.
And we have all submitted questions, I believe, that we're hoping to address in that particular briefing.
Yes, we're gathering those right now from the court members. We're lacking a few yet. We're copying the Sheriff's Department on all of that communication, so that these will be the questions we're going to ask the Sheriff's Department to address. Also, we've included budget because there's some financial issues also that have been raised in those questions. So June 11th is going to be the briefing on 287G.
And I hope that we can have, as a part of that briefing, I hope we get the information out at least maybe a week in advance so that we have an opportunity to go through that before what I don't want to do is come here on Tuesday morning and be presented with the material at that point in time and not have had an opportunity to review that.
I understand.
So, and really I'd really like to have it before even the Friday.
Yeah, we'll be waiting for the response from the Sheriff's Department on a bunch of those. The budget is already looking at the other piece, but we'll encourage the Sheriff's Department to get us those answers so we can make a distribution to you all.
And I trust that y'all will spread the word that June 11th is the date for that presentation.
Your Honor, that's all we have at this time.
Then I'll recess our open meeting and proceed to close to discuss items exempt under section 551.071, 072, 074, 076, and 087 of the Texas Government Code. Having returned from our closed session, there being no business to conduct at this time, we're now adjourned.